Friends and fellow Singaporeans, good evening. This is my first National Day rally after the general elections. My team have a fresh mandate to implement our programs, to grow the economy, to improve our education system, to expand our healthcare system, housing, transport, and so on. I have a new team, it's settling in. It's gelling together to tackle both long-range issues as well as immediate challenges which Singaporeans face. From a national perspective, Singapore has done very well. Over the last 5 years, we ran into the worst storm we've ever encountered since independence. But we took bold and decisive measures, especially the resilience package and the jobs credit. And the measures worked and sheltered us from the worst of the storm. So if you look and compare today with 5 years ago, I think we can honestly say incomes have gone up. Some people have jobs and homes. Our city has been upgraded, and Singapore is better. But unfortunately, it was such a powerful storm that even with a big and strong umbrella, we couldn't avoid getting a little bit wet. And so Singaporeans felt the discomfort, the anxiety, and compounded because of the rapid changes which we couldn't predict and which we always worried what tomorrow will bring. After the crisis passed, our economy bounced back faster than we had expected, which should be good news, but it also brought its own problems. Our infrastructure programs couldn't quite catch up, so our housing program, there was a shortage. People became very anxious over the HDB flats. Our public transport became a bit more crowded than it should be, and people noticed. So from a personal perspective, many citizens feel pressure in their daily lives, even though you see the growth figures. Last year, 14.5%. This year, so far, nearly 5%. And they ask themselves, why has my cost of living gone up? Can I or my children afford to buy homes for ourselves? What about my healthcare costs as I grow old? In short, Singapore may be progressing, the country may be moving forward, but am I part of this progress? Am I part of this story? I can fully understand and empathize with these concerns because it has been a difficult ride, bumpy, stormy, and causing anxiety from time to time. But we are tackling these problems, building more flats, improving our public transport, managing the inflow of foreign workers and immigrants. It will take a while to solve these problems because they are big and complicated issues, but we are heading in the right direction and things will gradually get better. So please be patient. And at the same time, please try and look beyond these problems which we can see as immediate concerns to the longer term, wider world issues which affect us and will be of strategic importance to us. We've got to implement long-term policies to keep Singapore growing, because otherwise, without the right long-term strategy, there will be no Singapore success story for any Singapore citizen to be part of. Our outlook depends on our getting our strategies right, but it also depends on our external environment. And if you look around you in the external environment, you don't have to look very hard to notice some dark clouds are gathering. America and Europe have major problems, still unresolved, and which are not just problems for themselves, but which pose a serious risk to world growth. In Europe, you've heard of Greece, and Greece has been bailed out for now, again. But the markets know that this problem hasn't gone away. What they've done is to kick the can down the road, and sooner or later it's going to pop up again. And it's not just a problem of Greece, it's spread beyond Greece, and there are issues with Portugal, Ireland, these can be managed. Spain, Italy, bigger. not so easy to manage. And the banks which lent to these countries, which may be French banks, German banks, banks in Britain, that's an even bigger problem still. And so, Europe is troubled. America is also troubled. S&P downgraded America's long-term debt from AAA to AA+. Just what does it mean? It highlights serious long-term problems. Government is spending too much, the fiscal deficit is unsustainable, and if they don't correct it, they are heading for trouble. But they are not able to correct it because there are deep divisions between the Democrats on one side and the Republicans on the other as to what to do. One side wants to make sure taxes are never raised. The other side wants to make sure benefits are never cut. And therefore, the deficit isn't going to go down, and therefore confidence and growth in the longer term is not going to return. So that's the reason why over the last 2 weeks you have seen the financial markets go up and down, and if you are investing in the stock market, I'm sure every day you'll be looking at your BlackBerry, seeing whether it's gone up or gone down. But the volatility is only a reflection of the real issue, and the real issue is that investors around the world lack confidence that the governments will be able to make the hard decisions and to resolve the problems which are deep and very serious. In Asia, with this global backdrop, China, India, and the emerging markets are doing quite well. But if America and Europe go into another recession, then I think China and India and the emerging economies will also be affected, will also be vulnerable. And therefore, Singapore has to be watchful. We don't have to press the panic button yet, but we have to be watchful because there's quite a possibility that the world will go into another recession, and that's going to affect us. It can easily happen. And Bob Zoellick, who is president of the World Bank yesterday in Australia, he gave a speech and he said as much. Now that he's not a politician, he can say it as it is. So we should take it seriously. So in Singapore, we have to keep a twin focus. Address the stresses and strains that people feel, but also track and respond to our external challenges and keep our strategies right. In other words, we have to get our politics right as well as our policies right. And if we can get both of these, then we can engage all our people to build Singapore together. And to get both right, you must start with the politics, which is what I will do. During the general election in May, many issues got hotly debated. And it's quite natural during a debate, issues will crystallize, be amplified, the differences will be sharpened, and people's consciousness will be focused on the problem. And this time there were more diverse views and expressed a lot more strongly, not only in rallies, but also on the internet, in the social media, and SMSs, all the new technologies offering. It's useful to have had a vigorous debate and a full airing of these views. It shows energy and concern. People are focused on the issues. So let's harness this energy to make Singapore stronger, but let it not divide our society. My government will reach out to all segments of Singapore society to understand your perspectives, to share ideas and concerns with you, to work with you to come up with plans and programs which will benefit all of us. And I think there are many concerned Singaporeans who are thinking about this, even after the elections, with critical but thoughtful views. They don't agree with everything the government has done or is doing, but they understand, acknowledge the good work and the progress, and they are concerned that we should make things better and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. And a good number of people like this have written to MPs, to ministers. I've received quite a number myself, thoughtful, cogent, extended presentations of why they think things turned out as they did, what they think we should do now. And I think that people like this give hope that Singaporeans want the country to progress, and there are people who are prepared to come forward and to make our system work better. So I encourage all those who have written to us in this spirit to come forward, whether online or in real life, and help to strengthen the constructive climate of opinion so that your government can do right for you and do right for Singapore. And I think in person, face-to-face, on TV, we know how to do it. Engagement online, I think we need to learn to do it better. It's not easy to do, but it's important because the digital media is continuing to grow in importance. 5 years ago, YouTube was insignificant. Facebook didn't exist. All you had was Mr. Brown. Today, Mr. Brown has a lot of competition. We in government have a lot of competition, and we have to be able to operate in that space. It's not easy because it's anonymous, it's chaotic, it's unfiltered, unmoderated, and so the medium lends itself to many negative views and ridiculous untruths. Any number of them. I won't repeat one because otherwise you may misunderstand and think it's true. But if you just open at random, you will see them, and we have to do our best to counter this, to prevent untruths from circulating and being repeated 5, 10, 20 times, from leading people astray. And after a while, you've heard it so often, you can't remember where you saw it, but it must be true. But it's not. So, our ministers have to get better at this. And you know many ministers are blogging now, Facebook, and they have to communicate in a different medium and convey nuance, policy, intentions, explanations in a more personal way, engaging people. But it's not just the ministers doing this, the government as a whole has to be more active and adept, engaging Singaporeans online. We can't be in every corner of cyberspace because there's a lot of cowboy towns out there. But there must be places which grow where people recognize that these are places which are reliable, where you can have an open debate, where different views are expressed, but it's balanced. And if you go there, you know that, well, to start off with, you can assume that it will make some sense. Whether it's right or wrong, you have to consider, but it's not rubbish. So we've got to get there, be in cyberspace, and use it constructively to explain issues, to shape opinions, to rally support, and to make Singapore work better.